I'm Amy LaFager, and this is a presentation of the APA Style Tutorial e-learning system that I created for the Learner-Centered Design course in the Human-Computer Interaction program at DePaul University. The APA Style Tutorial is designed to teach students how to construct APA-style reference list entries for different types of sources. This tutorial also explains how to create an in-text citation using the information from the reference list entry for the source. My goal for this tutorial was for learners to become more comfortable with APA style so the process of citing sources does not intimidate them. This would allow learners to be more comfortable incorporating sources into their writing because they know how to provide correct attribution for their sources. The APA style tutorial is hosted on the SpringShare LibGuides content management system used by National Louis University Library and Learning Support. The learner navigates through the content using the menu on the left side of the screen. There are also previous and next buttons located at the bottom of each page to navigate through the tutorial. The content is presented in 6 brief videos with a practice question after each video. All of the content is broken into segments so there is only one video per topic, and links are provided at the bottom of the page to relevant information. The majority of the content of the APA style tutorial is presented in video format, which follows the multimedia principle. One of my goals with the creation of this video was to help students see where the information comes from when looking at the source and showing how that information is then put into an APA-style reference list entry. In the past, I had tried to demonstrate this with images and written text, but I found that many students were better able to understand how to format reference list entries when I explained verbally in a one-on-one, in-person instructional situation. I tried to recreate this interaction in an e-learning environment by applying the modality principle to reduce cognitive load on the learner by presenting information split between the auditory channel and visual channel. I explained the different elements of a reference list entry verbally while visually highlighting where the information is found in the source and where that information needs to be formatted into the reference list entry template. In the layout of the visual content of the video tutorials, I displayed the reference list entry template over the source in order to follow the contiguity principle to present the information together so it is clear which element of the source corresponds to the element of the reference list entry. I also followed the contiguity principle by displaying all the feedback on my practice questions above the answer choices. The learner is able to see why the information was incorrect if an incorrect response was selected, while still seeing the original question and other answer choices. I used worked examples for all of my video tutorials to demonstrate how to create reference list entries and format different types of in-text citations. In other videos that I have seen about creating APA reference list entries, the format of the entry is explained, but the learner is not shown where to find all of the information in the source. I demonstrate how to create a reference list entry step by step while also showing where I am finding the information in the source to complete the reference list entry. All of the videos utilize a personal tone where I explain that the learner and I are going to complete the template together. The content in the video is explained verbally. However, I do have closed captions available for learners that may need them. I do not feel that this violates the redundancy principle because the learner must select closed captions in order for the text to appear on screen. The APA style tutorial is intended for a learner to access the content at the individual point of need. There is a high level of learner control, so the learner can access just the parts of the tutorial that they need in order to answer their questions about how to create a reference list entry for a source. It is my intention that by showing how to format sources with different numbers of authors and different types of sources, learners would be able to apply this information with far transfer when creating reference list entries and in-text citations for sources they are using in their own research. Because there are many different types of scenarios for in-text citations depending on the number of authors as well as if information is missing from the source, I created 2 tables for learners to be able to refer back to in order to identify the correct citation format for creating in-text citations for their sources. I evaluated learning by having participants complete a pre- and post-lesson survey that had the same 8 questions. None of the questions were required, so the participant could skip any question and still submit the survey. The types of questions in the survey were 2 multi-select questions where they identify incorrect elements in a reference list entry for a book and a journal article, 2 multiple choice questions where they identify the type of source based on the format of the reference list entry, 1 multiple choice question where they identify the correct format for an in-text citation for a quote from a journal article, and 3 multiple choice questions where they identify the correct reference list entry format for 3 different types of sources. I had 13 participants complete both the pre and post lesson survey. The IP address for the participant was automatically recorded by the survey system so I could identify the pre and post lesson surveys for each participant. The p-value comparing the pre and post lesson surveys is not statistically significant because the p-value is greater than 0.05. This indicates that the difference in scores between the pre and post lesson surveys could be due to chance. However, the sample size that completed the surveys was small, which could have affected the p-value. The p-value could also be affected by the low number of questions asked on the pre and post lesson surveys. The effect size for the pre and post lesson survey data is 3.086, which is a large effect size. Because I was able to match IP ranges for the participants, I was able to determine that every participant improved their score on the post-lesson survey compared to the scores on the pre-lesson survey. The most notable improvement was a participant that scored 2 out of 8 on the pre-lesson survey and 7.625 out of 8 on the post-lesson survey. While the p-value does not indicate statistical significance, the effect size does indicate that the participants did learn about APA style from my tutorial. The APA style tutorial is publicly available on the National Louis University Library and Learning Support Help and Research Guides, and I intend to keep this content available for learners to access at the point of need. I also plan on incorporating the video tutorials I created into the Library Research for the Social Sciences online course that I teach at NLU to replace the previously used text-based content to teach students about APA style. I do not expect that learners would gain a deep understanding of APA style from this tutorial. However, I do hope that learners would begin to feel more comfortable creating reference list entries and in-text citations in APA style. If you are interested in learning about APA style, please visit my APA style tutorial available on the National Louis University Library and Learning Support Help and Research Guides.